She stands alone, dressed in her crisp military uniform. The weight of the fabric feels heavier today, not because of the cloth, but because of the burden she carries inside. At 25, Mia should be celebrating, surrounded by family and friends, basking in the glow of accomplishment. Instead, the graduation hall is empty, silent, and cold. The cheers she expected never came. In her mind, she rewinds to just days ago, to the moment when her family's voices filled her with doubt. "You're throwing your life away," they said. "Why didn't you choose something more stable, more respectable?" Their words echoed in her ears like a relentless storm. Choosing the military, they called it a failure, a mistake, something to be ashamed of. She remembers the phone call from her mother, her voice breaking with tears. "We're not coming to your graduation, Mia," she said. "We just can't be there." That admission hit harder than any drill or training ever could. The woman who gave her life was turning away at the very moment Mia needed her the most. Mia's heart ached, torn between the love she craved and the pride she refused to let go of. She had imagined this day so differently, the proud smiles, the warm embraces. But instead, there was silence, a void where support should have been. Walking through the empty halls now, the polished floors reflecting her steady steps, she feels a storm of emotions swirling inside. Disappointment, hurt, anger. But beneath it all, something else. An unbreakable resolve. They don't believe in me. They don't see what I'm capable of. But I will show them. Every moment of doubt, every harsh word, every tear shed in loneliness, only fuels her determination. She thinks about the long nights spent studying, the grueling physical tests, the sacrifices made to stand where she is today. This uniform isn't just fabric and buttons. It's a symbol of her strength, her commitment, her courage. Her family's rejection doesn't define her. Their disappointment won't derail her. She's chosen a path less traveled, one filled with challenges and uncertainties. But it's her path, and she's ready to walk it with her head held high. As she pauses, looking out over the empty seats where her loved ones should be, Mia makes a silent promise. She will rise above their doubts. She will carve out her own story of success, not the one they imagined, but one that is hers alone. Tomorrow holds a new chapter. One where the surgeon, the leader in the trauma unit, will see her not as a failed child, but as the chief of trauma, the one who persevered, who fought through every obstacle, who earned respect through sheer will and talent. Before we dive back in, tell me, where are you tuning in from? And if Mia's journey touches something inside you, make sure you're subscribed. Because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special just for you. The call to duty. The phone rang sharply, cutting through the quiet hum of the base. Mia's heart jumped. She glanced at the screen. Her commanding officer. No one called this early without a serious reason. "Lieutenant Mia, we have a situation. A helicopter crashed at the Ridgeview base, and the trauma team is overwhelmed. They need you, now." Her breath caught. The weight of his words settled on her like a physical force. A crash, lives hanging in the balance. And here she was, ready to step into the chaos. For a moment, she hesitated, the memory flashing unbidden. Her family's voices, cold and disappointed. "You failed. You skipped your graduation. You're not good enough." Those words had followed her like shadows for months, a constant whisper in the back of her mind. But this call, it was different. It wasn't just about proving them wrong, it was about proving herself right. She was trained for this, she was capable, she was meant for this. "Understood, sir." "I'm on my way," she said, voice steady, resolve hardening. She hung up and moved quickly, her hands steady despite the thunder of doubt that had tried to claim her. The uniform felt heavier today, not with burden, but with responsibility. The insignia on her chest was no mere decoration. It was a symbol of years of sacrifice, grit, and unyielding dedication. This is it, she thought. This is my moment. As she strapped on her helmet and clipped on her gear, the room seemed to narrow until only the mission existed. The noise of past failures grew faint, drowned out by a rising tide of determination. "I will not be defined by their doubts," she told herself. "I will define myself by what I do next." The call to duty was more than an order. It was a summons to rise above, to heal where others feared, to lead when others faltered. And Mia was ready. She climbed into the vehicle, the engine roaring to life beneath her. The landscape blurred outside the window, but inside her focus sharpened. Every beat of her heart echoed a promise. I am more than what they said. I am the chief of trauma. The radio crackled again. Mia, we need you on the ground ASAP. Casualties critical. Multiple fractures, burns, some unconscious. Her pulse quickened. Lives depended on her. Expertise, calm, precision. Everything she had fought so hard to earn was needed now. She closed her eyes briefly and breathed in deep. The sting of old wounds, the shame, the judgment, faded into a distant hum. They no longer held power over her. I am my own measure of success. The helicopter's blades spun faster, lifting her toward the crisis. As the wind whipped past, she felt the surge of purpose swell inside her chest like a tide breaking free. She was not just a soldier, she was a healer, a leader, a force to be reckoned with. Let them say I failed. Let them remember when I rise. Because today, amidst the smoke and chaos of that crash site, Mia would show the world, and most importantly herself, what it truly meant to be the chief of trauma. Trauma and triumph. The air is thick with smoke and dust. Sirens wail in the distance, growing louder as more emergency vehicles rush toward the chaos. Amid shattered metal and scattered debris, a young woman in military uniform moves with purpose. This is Mia. At just 25, she has already faced more doubt and disappointment than most do in a lifetime. But now, here, at the heart of disaster, her true strength will be revealed. She steps onto the scene, where medics are scrambling to triage victims. The wounded cry out in pain, their faces etched with fear and confusion. The atmosphere is electric, raw with urgency. There is no time to hesitate. Mia's eyes scan the area quickly, taking in the scale of destruction. Her voice cuts through the noise, firm and commanding. Set up the triage zone here. Prioritize airway and bleeding control. Get me 2 IVs on that woman. Fast. Her team snaps to attention, following her orders without question. This isn't just another drill. Lives hang in the balance, and Mia knows every second lost could mean death. As she moves from patient to patient, her hands steady and sure, memories flash across her mind. The words of her family echo sharply. You failed. You skipped your graduation. You're not what we expected. Those voices haunt her, but instead of breaking her, they fuel her. I am more than their judgment, she thinks. I'm here. I'm leading. I'm saving lives. A young soldier lies on the ground, his leg mangled and bleeding heavily. Mia kneels beside him, her gloved hands working quickly to apply a tourniquet. Stay with me, she says softly but urgently. Help is coming. She barks out orders to her medics, directing them with precision. The chaos around her fades into the background. There is only the patient, the mission, and the knowledge that every action matters. Suddenly, a medic calls out, "We've got a critical airway obstruction here." Mia races over, her mind sharp and focused. She assesses the situation, takes control. Prepare to intubate. I'm taking over. Her voice is calm, but authoritative. Under pressure, she performs the procedure flawlessly. The patient's breathing stabilizes, and relief washes over the team. In this moment, Mia is no longer the girl her family doubted. She is a leader, a chief of trauma in the making. Flashes of her past swirl again, her family's disappointment, their harsh words, the empty seat at graduation, but none of that matters now. Here, she is defined by action, skill, and courage. A fellow soldier locks eyes with her. Mia, we need to move the evac point to the north side. The fire's spreading. She nods without hesitation. Understood. Make it happen. Her team springs into motion, inspired by her confidence and clarity. They follow where she leads because she has earned their trust. As the sun begins to set, the scene slowly shifts from chaos to controlled order. Victims are stabilized, evacuated, and given hope. Mia stands tall amid the organized efforts, sweat and grime on her face. but her spirit unbroken. She thinks back to the surgeon who once said, "She's chief of trauma." It sounded almost like a challenge then. Now it's a truth written in the lives she's touched today. This is her triumph, not in a ceremony or a speech, but in the quiet moments of crisis where skill meets heart. She's proven her worth beyond doubt, not with words, but with every life she's fought to save. Behind her, the medics prepare the last of the patients for transport. A young nurse approaches, eyes wide with respect. "You really are something, Mia." She manages a tired smile. "We're all something when it counts." In this battlefield of broken bodies and desperate cries, Mia has become something more. She is the calm in the storm, the leader who refused to be defined by failure, the chief who turned pain into purpose. Her family may have said she failed, they may have skipped her graduation. But here, amid the wreckage, she's found her real place. And she will never look back. The unexpected praise. The chaos in the trauma bay had finally settled. The last monitor beeped steadily, and the rushed footsteps faded into the background. Mia stood still, her military uniform heavy with sweat and determination. Around her, the room buzzed with quiet efficiency, the storm of the emergency now a calm sea. Her superiors approached, their faces serious but full of respect. The commanding officer looked her in the eye, nodding slowly before speaking. "Your quick thinking saved lives today. You kept your team focused when everything was falling apart." Mia's breath hitched. She had trained for this moment, but hearing it aloud made it real. The weight of the praise pressed down on her, heavier than any uniform she had ever worn. The senior surgeon stepped forward, a man known for his tough demeanor and sharp eye. He was the kind who rarely offered compliments unless they were earned in blood and sweat. He studied her for a moment, then said in a low voice, "She's chief of trauma." The words struck her like thunder. Chief of trauma. Not just a title, a recognition, a declaration that she belonged here, right where she had worked so hard to be. For years, her family had told her she was a failure, that she had skipped her graduation, that she was wasting her potential. Those words echoed in her mind like a relentless shadow. Failed, skipped, disappointed. But here, in this moment, those echoes were drowned out by something stronger. The surgeon continued. "You managed trauma care in a high-pressure environment, with precision most seasoned doctors can't claim. You didn't just save lives, you led." Mia's eyes flickered with a mix of pride and disbelief. She thought of the long nights, the relentless drills, the times she was told she wasn't enough. And now, standing here, she realized she was becoming the leader her family never believed she could be. Her voice caught when she spoke, almost a whisper. "I never thought I'd hear that from someone like you." The surgeon smiled faintly. "Sometimes the best leaders come from the places no one expects. You've earned this." As the team dispersed, Mia stood alone for a moment, letting the weight of the day settle in her chest. She touched the insignia on her uniform, feeling the cool metal beneath her fingers. This was more than just a badge. It was a symbol of everything she had overcome. In that quiet pause, memories surfaced. Her family's doubts, the skipped ceremonies, the whispered judgments. Yet here she was, standing firm, recognized not just for skill, but for character. Her thoughts drifted to the future. There would be challenges ahead, moments of doubt, and battles to fight. But now, she carried proof within herself that she was capable, that she was a leader. The unexpected praise was more than words. It was a turning point. A moment when Mia saw herself through the eyes of those who truly mattered, not as a failure, but as a chief, a survivor, and a hero. Her journey was far from over, but for the first time, she felt the quiet confidence of someone who had claimed her place. The weight of past failures no longer a chain, but a foundation. She took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and stepped forward, ready to lead. Facing the family, she stood at the doorway, the weight of her uniform as heavy as the silence that filled the room. 25 years old, a military officer, freshly appointed chief of trauma, yet here she was, facing the family that once told her she had failed. The same family that watched her skip her graduation, whispering doubts louder than applause. The air was thick with unspoken words and memories better left buried. She took a slow breath and stepped inside, heart pounding like a distant drumbeat. Everyone was there. Her parents, older siblings, cousins. Their eyes flicked up, then away, caught between curiosity and discomfort. Her mother broke the silence first, voice tight. "You really came back? After all this time?" She nodded. "I needed to tell you what happened, to tell you what I've done." Her father shifted in his chair, folding his arms. "You skipped your graduation, Mia. That wasn't just a step back. It was a decision that cost you everything." Mia clenched her jaw, but didn't speak. Instead, she took a breath, steadying herself. "I didn't skip because I wanted to. Sometimes life changes your plans. But I kept going. I fought harder than anyone could imagine." Her brother scoffed softly. "Fought? Last I heard, you were struggling to even finish basic training." The words stung, but she held her ground. "I struggled. A lot. But I didn't quit. And now I'm chief of trauma at one of the busiest military hospitals in the country." A pause. The room felt frozen. Her sister's voice was softer, hesitant. "That's impressive. I didn't know you made it that far." Quote. Mia's eyes met hers. "Because no one told you." Her mother shifted again, gaze narrowing. "And this surgeon? What did he say? That you're chief of trauma? Sounds like a title for a charity case." A bitter laugh escaped Mia. "You think this is a charity? You think I got this by luck?" The surgeon didn't just say it. He lived it. He watched me save lives when others couldn't. I earned that title. Every sleepless night, every tear, every moment I wanted to give up. Her father's voice rose, tinged with disbelief. "You want us to believe you went from failure to hero overnight?" "It wasn't overnight," she said firmly. "Years of work, of proving myself. I wasn't the perfect student. I wasn't the golden child. But I never gave up, and I'm still standing." Her aunt, sitting quietly until now, spoke with a mix of pity and skepticism. "We all wanted the best for you, Mia. Maybe you just took the wrong path." Mia's frustration bubbled close to the surface. "The only wrong path was the one where you stopped believing in me. I didn't ask for your approval back then, and I'm not asking for it now. But I hoped you'd see me for who I am." Her mother's eyes glistened, but her voice remained cold. "We see you, a soldier who abandoned her family for a uniform." "That uniform saved lives," Mia said quietly. "It gave me purpose. It gave me a chance to be more than what you said I was." Her younger cousin, barely out of high school, finally spoke up. "I'm proud of you, Mia. I didn't know what you went through, but hearing this, it's inspiring." A flicker of warmth entered the room, but it was quickly doused by her brother's harsh tone. "Don't let it get to your head. Titles don't mean much when you can't even stand with your family." Mia's voice cracked, a mix of pain and resolve. "I'm still standing, even if you won't stand with me." The silence that followed was deafening. She looked around the room, searching for something. Acceptance, maybe. Or just a sign that her journey mattered to them. Her father finally spoke, voice softer but still guarded. "We never wanted to lose you. Maybe we were too harsh. Maybe we didn't understand how hard it was." Mia nodded, a flicker of hope sparking inside her. "I needed you then. I need you now. But I'm not asking you to rewrite the past. Just to see me, as I am." Her mother's eyes softened, the armor beginning to crack. "Maybe we have some catching up to do." Mia smiled faintly. "I'd like that." Quote, "The tension lingered, but the first bridges were being built. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't complete. But it was something, an opening." As she stood there, in her uniform, with the weight of years behind her, Mia realized that this moment wasn't about proving herself anymore. It was about finally being seen. Not as the girl who failed. Not as the one who skipped her graduation. But as the woman who had risen against all odds to become chief of trauma. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The turning point. An unexpected email. That's how it began. An invitation to speak at a military conference. A chance to share her story. The story of a girl they said had failed, who skipped her graduation, who was written off before she even had a chance to prove herself. Mia stared at the message, her fingers frozen over the keyboard. Speak? Here? Now? The thought sent a shiver through her. The room felt smaller, the weight of her uniform heavier than usual. The uniform she had earned through grit, years of sacrifice, and relentless determination. But this invitation, it wasn't just about the uniform. It was about the path she had taken, the battles she had fought, and the identity she was still shaping. She paced slowly, glancing at the mirror. Her reflection looked back, steady but uncertain, 25 years old, chief of trauma. Yet, in her mind, echoes of her family's words still lingered. You failed. You're a disappointment. Skipping your graduation was proof you couldn't make it. Those words had once defined her. They had almost stopped her. But the surgeon's voice, calm and unwavering, had rewritten her story. She's chief of trauma. More than a title. It was a declaration of her resilience, her skill, and her courage. Now, standing in front of the mirror, Mia practiced the opening lines of her speech. Good morning. I'm honored to be here today. Her voice wavered. She swallowed hard and tried again, firmer this time. The words felt foreign, yet empowering. For years, she had carried the weight of expectations she never met. Her family had seen only the moments she stumbled, the ceremonies she missed, the milestones she skipped. But no one had witnessed the nights spent learning anatomy, the endless drills, the trauma rooms where lives hung by threads, and where she fought fiercely to save them. This speech was more than just recounting her journey. It was a chance to reclaim her narrative. To show that failure, as her family saw it, was just a chapter, not the whole story. She rehearsed, voice growing steadier with each repetition. Trauma care is more than medicine. It's about resilience, quick decisions, and hope in the darkest moments. She imagined the audience, soldiers, doctors, leaders, all listening. What would they see? A girl who had fallen? Or a woman who had risen? Her hands clenched and unclenched. The fear was real, fear of judgment, fear of vulnerability. But beneath it, a spark of excitement flickered. This was her moment. Not to prove them wrong, but to prove to herself how far she had come. She paused, gazing deeper into her reflection. The woman staring back was no longer the girl who skipped her graduation. She was a chief of trauma, a leader in her field, a symbol of perseverance. Mia's voice softened. I stand here not because I never failed, but because I never gave up. The words carried weight. They felt true. She took a deep breath and smiled slightly. This speech wasn't just about trauma care. It was about redefining what failure meant. About breaking free from the shadows of doubt and stepping into the light of her own making. As she rehearsed the final lines, her confidence grew. This was her story to tell, her truth to share. And for the first time in a long time, Mia wasn't afraid of what the future held. She was ready. The conference. The room was packed. Hundreds of faces turned toward her, expectant, curious, waiting. She stood tall in her military uniform, the insignia on her chest. A quiet testament to battles fought, not just on the field, but within herself. Every eye was on her, but her mind drifted back to the moment her family told her she had failed. Back to the day she had skipped her own graduation, a silent protest against their disbelief. Now here she was, the chief of trauma, standing before these strangers who had become her new family. She took a breath, steadying the storm inside her. This was more than a speech. This was her story, her truth. I want to take you back to a day that changed everything, she began, her voice steady but charged with emotion. It was the day of the helicopter crash. I was the first responder, alone, under fire, with lives hanging by a thread. The noise, the chaos, the fear, it all collided in one moment. But I didn't falter. I didn't hesitate. She paused, letting the weight of those words settle over the room. I was 20 years old. A girl who had been told she wasn't good enough, who had been written off by her own family. They said I failed. They said I wouldn't make it. They told me I was a disappointment because I didn't show up to my graduation. But I was there, in the field, saving lives, stitching wounds, holding the hands of strangers as they fought to live. The audience was silent, hanging on every word. She could feel their respect building, the kind that only comes from witnessing raw, unfiltered truth. That day, I realized what trauma means. Not just the physical wounds, but the scars we carry inside. Trauma is chaos and control. It is fear and courage. It is losing everything you thought you were and finding something stronger in its place. Her eyes scanned the room. Faces reflected empathy, admiration, and something she hadn't felt in a long time: belonging. I didn't wear my uniform to remind you of my rank or my role. I wore it to remind myself of the journey I've taken. From a girl who was told she failed, to a woman who leads a trauma unit, responsible for the lives of those who trust me in their darkest hours. She smiled, a genuine smile that reached her eyes. Being chief of trauma is not about the title, it's about the moments when seconds mean life or death. It's about showing up when it's easier to run away. It's about resilience, the kind that comes from falling down and choosing to stand back up every time. Her voice grew stronger, more certain. I want you to know this. Your story is not over because someone else said it was. Your worth is not defined by their doubts. I am living proof that failure is just a chapter, not the whole book. And sometimes, the people who say you won't make it are the ones who need to see you rise the most. She looked out over the crowd, now no longer strangers but witnesses to her transformation. So I stand here today not just as chief of trauma, but as a survivor, a fighter, and a reminder that your past does not dictate your future. You can rewrite your story. You can heal. You can lead. The room erupted in applause. Thunderous, unwavering, filled with the kind of respect that changes lives. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sound wash over her. This was the moment she had needed all her life. This was the validation she had craved, not from her family, but from herself, and from those who truly saw her. As the applause continued, she felt a shift inside, a quiet acceptance, a fierce pride. The girl who had once been told she failed had become the woman who refuses to be defined by anyone but herself. Her voice, steady and resolute, carried one last message into the hearts of everyone listening. If I can rise from the wreckage, if I can lead through the chaos, then so can you. And in that moment, beneath the bright lights and the watchful eyes, Mia found her true home. A new role. The room falls silent as the commanding officer clears his throat. Mia stands rigid, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Months ago, she was the girl her family wrote off, the one who skipped graduation, who they said had failed. Now, in this very moment, everything is about to change. I'm proud to announce, the officer begins, his voice steady, that Lieutenant Mia Reynolds will be taking on the role of Chief of Trauma here at Fort Harrison. The words hit her like a wave. Chief of Trauma. The weight of those words sinks in slowly, first as disbelief, then a rush of exhilaration that makes her breath catch. She can barely hold back a smile, but inside, a storm of emotions rages: joy, relief, and a fierce determination. For years, Mia carried the heavy burden of disappointment. Her family's voices echoed in her mind, telling her she wasn't enough, that she had missed her chance. Skipping graduation felt like the end of her story. But standing here now, in her military uniform, she realizes it was just the beginning. She remembers the long nights in the hospital, the endless surgeries, the chaos of trauma bays where every second counts. Those moments forged her. They tested her strength, her resolve, and her heart. And now, those moments have led her to this new chapter. Mia takes a deep breath, steadying herself. This isn't just a title. It's a responsibility that will demand everything she has. Lives will depend on her decisions. Her team will look to her for guidance. The pressure is immense, but so is her commitment. She thinks about the patients she's treated, the ones who arrived broken, scared, and uncertain. She's been their fighter, their advocate. As Chief of Trauma, she will be their leader. The thought fills her with purpose. Her phone buzzes quietly in her pocket. A message from her mentor appears. You earned this. Lead with courage. Mia's fingers tremble as she types back, "I won't let anyone down." The room begins to fill with applause. Colleagues who once saw her as the rookie now nod with respect. The skepticism of the past is replaced by acknowledgement of her skill and dedication. This moment is a turning point. She recalls the night she almost gave up, the doubts that clawed at her mind. But every setback became a lesson, every failure a stepping stone. And now, standing at the helm of trauma care, Mia knows she's exactly where she's meant to be. Her voice is steady but quiet as she addresses her team for the first time in her new role. "Thank you for your trust. I know this job isn't easy. It never is. But together, we save lives. We face the worst moments and turn them into hope. I'm honored to lead this team. And I promise I will give everything I have to this mission, to every patient, and to all of you." The words feel right. They carry the weight of her journey, the pain, the perseverance, and the promise of what's to come. Later that night, alone in her quarters, Mia looks at the framed photo of her family she keeps on her desk. She doesn't know if they'll ever see her the way she now sees herself. But that no longer matters. What matters is the path she's carving now, the woman she's becoming. The leader who will shape the future of trauma care in the military. She straightens her uniform, feeling the crisp fabric against her skin. This uniform is more than cloth and insignias. It's a symbol of her strength, her sacrifice, and her unwavering commitment. Mia whispers to herself, "I am not a failure. I am a survivor. I am a leader." And with that, she steps forward, ready to face the challenges ahead, to make her mark, and to prove that the greatest victories often come after the hardest battles. Her phone lights up again, this time with a video call. It's her commanding officer. "Lieutenant, the entire trauma unit is counting on you. We believe in you." Mia nods, swallowing a lump in her throat. "I won't let anyone down." As the call ends, she feels a surge of determination unlike anything before. The road ahead will be tough, the stakes higher than ever. But Mia is ready. She's no longer the girl who skipped graduation. She's the chief of trauma. And this is her moment. She sits at her desk, reviewing patient charts, protocols, and team schedules. Every detail matters. Every decision could save a life. The weight of responsibility presses down, but instead of fear, it fuels her. Mia's mind flashes back to the moments when her family doubted her, the silent dinners, the cold shoulders, the whispered judgments. She almost let those moments define her. But now, she chooses to define herself. Her phone buzzes once more. A text from a fellow officer reads, "Looking forward to working under your leadership, Chief." Mia smiles. It's more than just respect. It's acceptance. She leans back in her chair and closes her eyes for a moment. The journey from feeling like a failure to being entrusted with this role has been long and winding, but every step was worth it. Her thoughts drift to the future, training new surgeons, managing crises, pushing the boundaries of trauma care. She knows there will be setbacks, long nights, and impossible choices. But she also knows she has the strength, the skills, and the heart to lead. The phone rings again. This time, it's a call from her mother. Mia hesitates before answering. "Mom," she says softly. There's a pause on the other end. Then her mother's voice, hesitant but proud. "I heard about your promotion, Chief of Trauma. Mia, that's incredible." Mia swallows the lump in her throat. "Thank you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you before. I'm proud of you." For the first time in a long while, Mia feels a weight lift from her chest. "I'm proud of me too," she replies. She ends the call, a quiet smile spreading across her face. The past won't disappear, but it no longer controls her. Mia stands and looks out the window of her quarters. The base is quiet under the night sky. Tomorrow, a new day awaits. A day filled with challenges, triumphs, and the chance to prove herself every moment. She adjusts her uniform one last time and whispers with conviction, "This is just the beginning." Reconnecting with family. She stood there, in her crisp military uniform, the insignia of rank gleaming under the hospital's fluorescent lights. This was her office now, the command center where decisions were made, lives were saved, and respect was earned. But today, the room felt different. It was about to hold something far more fragile than the steel nerves of a trauma chief: her family. Mia had thought about this moment for years. The years when they said she failed. When they said she wasn't good enough. When they skipped her graduation, leaving her to face the silence of empty seats. She remembered the sting of their absence, the cold judgment in their eyes, and the quiet whispers of disappointment that followed her everywhere. But today, she decided to rewrite that story. The doorbell rang and her heart quickened. She opened the door to find faces she hadn't seen in months. Her mother's tentative smile, her father's guarded gaze, and her younger brother clutching his backpack like a shield. They stepped inside, unsure, hesitant, like strangers crossing into a world they never thought she'd conquer. Mia led them past the sleek monitors and surgical tools, past the framed certificates and photos of her team in action. She watched as their eyes widened, the skepticism in their expressions slowly softening. Her mother broke the silence first. This is your office?" Mia nodded. "Yes, Chief of Trauma Surgery, I'm in charge here." Her father's voice cracked with disbelief. "I thought you quit, after everything." "I almost did," she admitted. "But I didn't. I fought. I pushed through every doubt, including my own." Her brother looked around, absorbing the weight of her words. "You're really a chief?" "Yes," Mia said, her voice steady now, filled with the pride she had long buried. "I'm responsible for saving lives every day. I lead a team that handles the most critical emergencies." They moved to a window overlooking the emergency bay where ambulances rushed in and doctors hurried by. Her mother's eyes glistened with tears, a mixture of awe and regret. "I didn't believe in you back then," her mother whispered. "I was wrong." Mia stepped closer. "It hurt when you didn't show up for my graduation, but I understand now you didn't see the person I was becoming." Her father finally spoke, voice thick with emotion. "We were so focused on the path we imagined for you, we forgot to see the path you were making for yourself." There was a long pause, heavy with unspoken words and the weight of lost time. Then, slowly, her brother reached out and touched her arm. "We're proud of you," he said simply. Mia smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. This was the moment she had waited for, the moment when doubt gave way to acceptance. Her mother wiped her tears. "I want to tell everyone that my daughter is the chief of trauma. I want to tell them what I didn't believe before." Mia's eyes shone. "I don't need you to tell anyone. I just needed you to see me." Her father nodded. "We see you now, the woman you've become, the soldier, the surgeon, the leader." Mia looked around her office again, feeling the transformation not just in herself, but in the family that once called her a failure. The distance between them was shrinking, replaced by a fragile yet growing bond. "I skipped my own graduation," she said softly, "because I thought I had failed. But standing here today, I know the real graduation was this: earning your respect, earning your belief in me." Her mother reached out and embraced her. "We're sorry. For everything." Mia hugged her back, the weight of years lifting from her shoulders. "It's okay. I never stopped fighting. Not for me, and not for us." Her father smiled, a genuine, proud smile that Mia hadn't seen in years. "You didn't fail. You became something we could only dream of." And with that, the walls that once held judgment and disappointment crumbled. In their place grew pride, understanding, and hope. Mia's confidence soared. This was more than reconciliation. It was a new beginning. She was no longer the girl who skipped her own graduation. She was the chief of trauma, a leader forged in fire and risen from doubt. And now, her family finally saw it too. Leading with heart, Mia stood before her team, the weight of her new role settling over her like the crisp folds of her military uniform. The room was quiet, anticipation hanging thick in the air. This was not just another day at the trauma unit, it was the beginning of a new era. As chief of trauma, Mia was no longer just a surgeon fighting for survival in the operating room. She was a leader, a strategist, and most importantly, a beacon of hope. Her voice cut through the silence, steady and clear. "We're not just treating wounds, we're rebuilding lives. Every second counts, every decision matters." She paced slowly, eyes meeting each member of her team, drawing them in. I know what it feels like to be underestimated, to hear the words, "You'll never make it." I've carried those doubts with me, not like a burden, but like fuel. Today I'm here to tell you, failure isn't final. It's a step, a challenge to overcome. Her hands clasped behind her back, posture rigid but welcoming. From this moment, we lead differently. We combine military precision with human compassion. Discipline doesn't mean coldness. Efficiency doesn't mean rushing. We save lives because we care deeply, and we act swiftly. One of the younger surgeons raised a hand hesitantly. Chief, how do you want us to balance speed with compassion? Sometimes the pressure feels overwhelming. Mia nodded, acknowledging the question with respect. Great question. It's not about slowing down. It's about focus. When you're calm, clear, and connected to the patient's story, every action becomes purposeful. Compassion sharpens your judgment. It doesn't slow you, it steers you. She moved closer, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. Remember, we're not just fixing bodies, we're touching lives. The family waiting outside, the soldier who dreams of coming home, this is why we fight for every heartbeat. The room shifted. The weight of her words settled deep into the hearts of the team. They saw the change in her, the transformation from a young woman who once skipped her own graduation, doubted by her family, to a leader standing tall in the face of chaos. Mia's gaze softened. I once heard a surgeon say, "She's chief of trauma." Those words didn't just recognize my title, they recognized my journey. I'm not just here to lead, I'm here to inspire, to show you that your past doesn't define your future. She pulled out a binder, flipping through pages filled with new protocols and training schedules. We're implementing new trauma care procedures starting today. Every team member will undergo specialized training emphasizing empathy alongside efficiency. We'll run simulations that challenge our technical skills and our emotional resilience. A nurse spoke up, her tone a mix of curiosity and hope. Chief, how do you want us to handle moments when the pressure breaks us, when we feel like we're failing? Mia's expression was firm but kind. It's okay to acknowledge that pressure. We're human, but we don't carry it alone. We support one another. That's part of what I'm building here, a team that lifts each other up. She looked around, seeing nods ripple through the room. Leadership isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. It's about owning your story, your pain, your victories, and using them to light the way for others. Her voice grew stronger, more commanding. Every shift, every trauma call, is a chance to rewrite the narrative, ours and the patient's. We're rewriting what it means to be a trauma team. Mia paused, then smiled. A rare, genuine smile that radiated warmth and strength. I skipped my own graduation because I thought I had failed. My family said I failed. But that failure was a stepping stone. Now I stand here as your chief, not in spite of my past, but because of it. She stepped back, arms open, inviting them into this new vision. We will be the team that saves lives with skill and heart. We will be the team that turns setbacks into comebacks. And together, we will show the world what true leadership looks like. The room erupted in applause, not just for the protocols or the plans, but for the leader who had become more than a title. Mia had become a force, a woman who had embraced her identity, her purpose, and her power. As the team dispersed to their stations, Mia lingered for a moment, reflecting on how far she had come. The doubts of the past no longer whispered in her ear. Instead, her heart beat steady with resolve. She was no longer the girl who skipped graduation. She was chief of trauma. And she was ready to lead with heart. Resilience tested. The alarm blared sharply, cutting through the tense quiet of the base. Twice in 1 month, a crisis had landed on Mia's doorstep. This time, it was worse. A multi-vehicle collision on a nearby highway. Casualties streaming in faster than the medevac helicopters could land. Mia stood at the center of the chaos, her military uniform crisp despite the sweat dampening her brow. Around her, the team scrambled, voices rising in stress, hands shaking as they prepared for the influx. But Mia didn't falter. She took a deep breath and spoke, her voice steady and commanding. Listen up. We follow the triage protocol exactly as trained. Priority 1, patients to Trauma Bay 1 and 2. Get the surgical teams ready. Secondary patients, stabilize and prep for transport. Everyone else, set up the casualty holding area. Move! Her orders sliced through the noise, anchoring the team's focus. Each word carried the weight of her experience, the countless hours she had poured into mastering this moment. The same family who had doubted her, who told her she had failed when she skipped her graduation, those voices were a distant echo now. Here, in this pressure cooker, Mia was not just a soldier or a medic. She was chief of trauma. The surgeon who had once hesitated was now the leader others depended on. A medic rushed forward, holding a bleeding man's arm. "Chief, he's unstable, blood pressure dropping fast. Start a massive transfusion protocol. Call for OR3 to be prepped. I want anesthesia ready on my mark," Mia ordered without looking away from the incoming stretchers. "We can't lose him." Her team moved with precision, a well-oiled machine molded by her leadership. Every command was deliberate, every decision a calculated step toward saving lives. Mia's mind worked in rapid cycles, assessing, prioritizing, adapting. The protocols she had established were her blueprint, but it was her calm under fire that kept the team grounded. A sudden burst of static on the radio. "Chief, evac team reporting multiple critical patients en route, estimated arrival in 5 minutes. Copy that. Prep the decontamination unit. I want full respiratory precautions. No surprises," she replied crisply. For a moment, a silence fell over her, not in the chaos around her, but inside. This was the moment she had feared the most, the moment her family had called failure upon her. But failure was not the story this time. Not today. She glanced at the clock. Time was a relentless enemy. Every second mattered. Her hands were steady as she checked the setup one last time. "Team, this is where we show what we're made of. Every patient we save is proof. Proof that we don't quit when it gets hard. Proof that the path we chose, though different, is the right one." A nurse approached, eyes wide but trusting. "Chief, we've got a pediatric patient coming in. Severe burns." Mia's jaw tightened, but her voice softened just enough. "Prepare the burn unit and get child life support ready. We're going to get her through this." The stretcher wheels clattered closer. Wounded, scared, fragile. Yet in this room, under Mia's command, they were not alone. The surgeon who had been written off was now the backbone of this operation. The chief of trauma. As the first patients were wheeled in, Mia moved between stations, delegating, encouraging, correcting. Her presence was a shield against panic. Her voice a steady drumbeat of hope. "Vitals stable on patient 3. Good, keep monitoring. Patient 5, prep for intubation. We need airway secured before transport." A junior medic hesitated, unsure. Mia caught the glance, nodded firmly. "You've got this. Follow the steps. Trust your training." The medic's hands steadied. The procedure began. Mia smiled briefly, a silent acknowledgement of growth, not just hers, but her whole team's. The tension in the room was palpable. Every beep, every call, every breath counted. Yet through it all, Mia was the eye of the storm, calm and resolute. Minutes stretched like hours. One by one, the wounded were triaged, treated, stabilized. The protocols held, the team worked as one. And, in the midst of it, Mia grew stronger, each decision affirming the path that once seemed uncertain. Her phone buzzed briefly, a message from home. She didn't need to read the words to know its tone. The same doubts, the same old voices. But now, they were background noise. She looked up, eyes scanning the room, filled with lives hanging in the balance. This was her proving ground, her redemption. "Chief, the last evac just touched down. We're clear for transport." "Good. Move them out, one at a time. Keep the communication tight." Her team obeyed, their fatigue pushed aside by the urgency of the moment. Mia stayed with them until the last patient was secured, the last report filed. Only then did she allow herself a breath. She stood tall, the weight of responsibility heavy but no longer crushing. The scars of doubt from her past remained, but they no longer defined her. Today she had led. Today she had saved lives. Today she was more than the girl who skipped her graduation. She was the chief of trauma. And in that truth, she found her strength. Legacy of strength. 25 years. A quarter of a century shaped by moments that no one saw coming. Moments that began with doubt, with disappointment, with voices that said I had failed. My family's voices. Their words sharp, their eyes heavy with disbelief. They said I had skipped my graduation, that I had given up. They saw only the surface, the ceremony I missed, the milestone left unmarked. But what they didn't see was the fire burning beneath, the silent promise I made to myself in those darkest hours. I remember the day they told me I had failed. The room was thick with tension. Their disappointment wasn't just about a missed ceremony. It was about expectations broken, dreams deferred. I was young. I was raw. And I felt the weight of every word. But failure? No, not then, not ever. Because failure is only what you accept it to be. I chose a different path. One that wasn't paved by applause or diplomas handed out in a crowded hall. A path carved through sweat, through tears, through unrelenting resolve. I became a surgeon. Not just any surgeon, but one who stood in the line of fire, who made split-second decisions when lives hung in the balance. I became chief of trauma. And when the surgeon who had once doubted me stood beside me, saying those words, "She's chief of trauma," something shifted. It wasn't just about proving them wrong. It was about proving to myself that strength isn't measured by ceremonies attended or accolades displayed. It's measured by the lives you touch, the battles you fight, and the courage you summon when no one is watching. Now, standing here in my military uniform, I reflect on that journey. The uniform is more than fabric and insignia. It is a symbol of endurance, sacrifice, and honor. It tells a story of battles fought both within and outside. It carries the legacy of every patient I've saved, every colleague I've led, every challenge I've faced head-on. But legacy isn't just about me, it's about my family too. The same family who once saw me as a failure now sees a woman transformed. Time has a way of softening edges, of opening eyes to truths once hidden by pride and misunderstanding. Their journey, a journey from judgment to acceptance, mirrors my own. We have all grown, we have all healed. I sit down with pen in hand, feeling the weight of the words I'm about to write. This letter is not just a message, it's a bridge, a connection between the past and the future, between the pain and the healing. To my family, I begin, I want to thank you, not just for the support you eventually gave, but for the lessons your doubt taught me. Your voices, though harsh at times, pushed me to find strength I didn't know I had. I know it wasn't easy to watch me choose a path so different from the one you imagined. But every step I took was guided by a promise to myself, to be more, to do more, to heal more. I pause, imagining their faces as they read these words. Words that carry both apology and gratitude. Words that heal wounds invisible to the eye. I skipped my graduation, yes, but I never skipped my purpose. Every life I've saved, every hand I've held in the trauma bay, has been a testament to the dreams I refuse to let die. I am proud, not just of the title I hold, but of the woman I've become. A woman who faced failure, not as an end, but as a beginning. The pen moves steadily across the paper, my thoughts flowing freely now. I hope this letter finds you in a place of understanding, because the legacy I wish to leave isn't just my own, it's ours. A legacy of resilience, of love that endures beyond disappointment, of a family that learns to see each other through the lens of growth and grace. I am not the child who failed. I am the woman who rose. It's more than closure, it's a new chapter unfolding, rich with possibility. The healing within these words mirrors the healing that has taken root in our family. Where there was once silence and distance, now there is dialogue and connection. Where there was judgment, now there is pride. As I fold the letter, I feel a quiet strength settle within me. This journey, rugged and relentless, has forged a legacy far greater than any accolade. It is the legacy of strength born from struggle, of dreams realized beyond the limits of expectation, of a family bound not by perfection, but by perseverance. I look down at my uniform again. The insignia gleams softly, reflecting the light of a future yet to be written. And in that reflection, I see not just a chief of trauma, but a daughter, a sister, a woman who has rewritten her story on her own terms. This is my legacy, strong, unyielding, mine. A future reclaimed. She stands tall, a figure of unwavering resolve, draped in the uniform that tells a story far richer than any diploma ever could. 25 years old, yet carrying the weight and honor of a lifetime of battles fought, not just on the field, but within herself. The road here was never straight. It twisted and turned through doubt, silence, and the cold words of those who once said she had failed. Her family's voices once echoed in her ears, a chorus of disappointment the day she walked away from graduation. They said she gave up. They said she wasn't enough. They believed her dreams had shattered when she refused to march that stage with her peers. But what they couldn't see was the fire igniting inside her. A fire fueled not by approval, but by purpose. Now, as the chief of trauma, she carries a title that commands respect. But it's more than a name on a door or a badge pinned to her chest. It is a testament to every long night spent studying anatomy by dim light, every grueling shift in the emergency room where lives hung in delicate balance, every moment she chose to rise when the world told her to stay down. She remembers the surgeon's words like thunder breaking through a storm. She's chief of trauma. 3 simple words that rewrote the narrative. Words that turned whispers of failure into shouts of triumph. Those words weren't just about her position. They were an acknowledgement of her strength, her skill, and her unyielding spirit. But this moment is not about proving them right or wrong anymore. It's about reclaiming the story on her own terms. She looks back now and sees the path not as a series of defeats, but as a mosaic of resilience. Each setback was a lesson, each doubt a challenge to be met. The girl who once skipped her graduation is now the woman who saves lives every single day. This is her victory. She thinks of the patients whose lives she has touched, men and women, young and old, caught in moments of crisis. In those moments, titles and family judgments fall away. What remains is the power to heal, to mend broken bodies and broken spirits alike. She has become a beacon of hope in the chaos of trauma care. And in doing so, she has inspired others to believe that failure is never final. Her reflection reveals not just the uniform, but the woman beneath it, strong, compassionate, and unshakably confident. The uniform is a symbol, yes, but the real transformation lies in the acceptance of who she is and what she stands for. She no longer carries the weight of others' expectations. Instead, she carries the responsibility of leadership, the burden of decision-making, and the privilege of shaping the future of trauma care. The path ahead is clear, illuminated by the lessons of the past and the promise of what's yet to come. Her voice, steady and sure, echoes in her mind. I belong here. I earned this. Not because she proved someone else wrong, but because she proved herself right. She envisions the next generation, young women and men who will look to her and see what is possible. She sees herself in their eyes, filled with hope and determination. And she knows her journey is now their inspiration. This is more than a career. It's a calling, a mission to push boundaries, to innovate, to lead with heart and skill. She embraces it fully, ready to face every challenge with the same courage that carried her here. Her story is no longer defined by a moment of absence or a day skipped. It is defined by every life saved, every barrier broken, every doubt conquered. The road was long, the battle hard, but here she stands, unshaken, undeniable, and unstoppable. And the future? It is hers to claim. A new beginning. She stands tall, the weight of her uniform a testament to battles fought, not just on the field, but within herself. At 25, Mia is no longer the girl who skipped her own graduation, the one her family quietly said had failed. Today, she faces a room full of fresh faces, new recruits eager, nervous, and full of questions about the road ahead. Mia's voice carries a quiet strength as she begins, I know what it feels like to be doubted. To hear the words, you won't make it, or worse, to be overlooked because your path doesn't look like everyone else's. My family thought I had failed them when I didn't walk across that stage. They didn't see the hours I spent learning, the sacrifices I made. They didn't see the battles I fought inside. She pauses, letting the moment settle. But then, something changed. A surgeon said to me, "She's chief of trauma." Those words didn't just describe a title. They were a recognition of resilience, of grit, of refusing to be defined by anyone else's expectations. Her eyes sweep across the room, connecting with the young faces before her. You might be here because someone told you you weren't good enough. Maybe you're carrying the weight of disappointment, but I'm here to tell you this. Your story isn't over because it didn't start the way others expected. It's not about how you begin, it's about how you choose to move forward. She steps closer to the edge, voice steady and sure. When I was your age, I thought skipping my graduation meant I had failed. But life has a way of surprising us. Every setback, every closed door, every harsh word became fuel. Those moments made me fight harder. I learned to embrace the unconventional path, the one full of challenges but also full of purpose. A quiet murmur rises from the crowd, a mix of anticipation and hope. Mia smiles softly. You might not know your destination yet, and that's okay. What matters is that you keep moving, keep learning, keep pushing through the doubt. She leans forward slightly, her tone encouraging. Because resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving. About becoming the person who can stand in front of others, in uniform, and say, "This is who I am. This is what I've overcome, and I'm ready." Mia's gaze grows even warmer, more personal. I'm not just chief of trauma because I mastered medicine or strategy. I'm chief of trauma because I understand trauma, not just the physical wounds we treat, but the emotional ones we carry. I know what it means to feel like you don't belong, to feel like you've let everyone down. And I'm here to tell you, you belong, you matter, your journey is valid. She straightens, pride radiating from her every word. So when you feel lost or uncertain, remember this. You are more than a moment of failure. You are more than a missed milestone. You are the sum of every choice you make to rise again. Her voice softens, carrying a note of tenderness. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to question. What's not okay is giving up on yourself. Not when there's so much left to fight for. Not when your future can be brighter than your past. Mia's eyes shine with joy as she concludes, I stand here today because I chose to believe in myself when others didn't. Because I refused to let a skipped graduation define my worth. Because I found strength in my struggles and purpose in my pain. She looks out one last time, the room silent, hanging on her every word. This is your new beginning. Embrace it, no matter how unconventional or uncertain it may seem. Your path is yours to create. A warm smile crosses her face, bright and full of hope. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us. Her voice lingers in the air, a beacon of resilience and self-acceptance. The future is wide open, and Mia steps forward, ready to lead, not just as chief of trauma, but as a living example of what it means to rise above and thrive.